What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You're watching the Kansas City Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. Dalvin Cook, they are officially cutting him up in Minnesota. That will be official on Friday. Adam Schefter threw out there, well, maybe a team will swoop in and trade for him, but seems unlikely. And if that does occur, if he does get cut, could the Chiefs be in the mix? Thought we would explore it on today's show. Now, I want to give credit to Tom Pelissero, who broke the tweet of Dalvin Cook and the Vikings parting ways. Then I think Cook's agent put this last part in the tweet. One of the NFL's most dynamic playmakers. Cook is coming off a fourth straight 1,000-yard season, has 52 career touchdowns. Now he'll be a free agent at age 27 and will have multiple suitors. Adam Schefter did mention that the Dolphins and Broncos are two of the teams that are expected to have interest in signing Cook. There likely will be others, but those two teams have been monitoring Cook for weeks, especially Miami. I mean, they've been monitoring him since before the draft. That's been pretty well documented. Now, if you're asking me, like, Dalvin Cook's a good player. Like, I still think he can be like a low to middle end starter and a really good, like, rotation back for a team. But, like, his best days are behind him. He's not a top 5 running back in the NFL anymore like he was for several years. But I think he does have value in this league. The question is, are the Chiefs a team that makes sense for him? Like, I'm not starting him over Isiah Pacheco. That's just me. Now, some could argue that Cook could still be a better back in 2023 than Pacheco. Maybe that's true, maybe not. But Pacheco's ascending and Cook is descending. I don't want to kill the progression of Isiah Pacheco. Jerick McKinnon, different type of back. He's a scat back. Former teammate of Dalvin Cook, actually. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's where you kind of get into this. It's like, okay, what if you trade or cut Edwards-Helaire? You bring in Cook to be the number 2, and then McKinnon's your scat back. I'm like, okay, maybe, but like, is Cook going to sign like a vet min deal to be a backup in Kansas City? I think he's going to have better options. What do you guys think, though? Should the Chiefs sign Dalvin Cook? Type S for sign, or you can type P for pass. Get your votes in down in the comments. If you're asking me, like, it's not that I have no interest. I just don't think it really makes that much sense for either side. So I'm probably going to pass on Dalvin Cook, but the show's about you guys. What say you? S for sign or P for pass? Another Viking who is still slated to be a Viking, Danielle Hunter. There's been some trade buzz recently. Could the Chiefs be interested in this? This is something that I would be more interested in than Dalvin Cook. Ian Rapoport says that the Vikings are receiving calls on Danielle Hunter. Now, to be clear, it doesn't mean they're actively shopping him. Here's what Rapoport had to say on NFL Network. He said the Vikings and Hunter have not been able to strike a long-term deal to compensate him at a level he wants. When there are rumors that a player is not getting the contract he wants, usually teams call. My understanding is that the interest is pretty serious. And look, why wouldn't he, right? Like, he's still very good. He's only going to be 29 this year. 10.5 sacks a year ago. He was on pace to have another double-digit sack year in 2021 before suffering an injury. Did miss all of 2020, so there are some injury concerns, but this is a guy that was the fastest player in NFL history to 50 sacks. He had back-to-back 14.5 sack seasons in 2018 and 2019. He quite simply is an elite pass rusher. I mean, he would be the best pure pass rusher you have outside of Chris Jones. I mean, could you imagine Chris Jones and Danielle Hunter lining up next to each other? I mean, talk about putting the fear in opposing offensive lines. That would be really, really interesting to watch on that standpoint. So we'll see if this happens. More on a potential Danielle Hunter trade in a moment, but do want to take the time here to tell you guys about our hats that we have available. Technically, these are Chiefs draft hats. I know the draft has come and gone, but you're telling me this is a hat you can only wear in draft season? Absolutely not. These are some of the coolest hats that they have ever dropped, and you can pick one up right now at chatsports.com/Chiefs draft hats. I love the logo just blending in with the text there. You can get the flat bills, the curved bills. You got the red dominant color, kind of the whitish gray dominant color with the red text. I think that one actually looks a tick better, but both look cool. Chatsports.com/Chiefs draft hats. That link will be in the comments and in the description. Again, it's a hat you can wear all year round, not just during the NFL draft. Okay, you look at this defensive line when we talk about Danielle Hunter here. I know we've talked more about like complementary edge rushers, like adding one more, like bring back a Frank Clark in a slightly lesser role than he's had, but that does not mean I would not be interested in Danielle Hunter. Charles Omenihu, I know we gave you 2 years and $20 million. I say we as if I'm the Chiefs GM. Sorry, man. Danielle Hunter, he's going to have a bigger role than you because he's just that good. George Karlaftis, I know you're progressing, but if Danielle Hunter can get in here and rush the passer, that is something I've got to do if I'm the Chiefs, if the compensation to trade for him is not too crazy. Now, Brad Spielberger covering this, he's cap expert, analyst for Pro Football Focus, calls him scheme diverse, which I would agree with. In terms of compensation, he says the Vikings would likely fight for a second plus more in a trade, but wouldn't be surprised if 2/3 got it done. He did mention that guys who are a little bit older got big deals last offseason. Now, something else he said, too, in a different tweet is that anyone who trades for him would likely have to agree to sign him to an extension, which would actually benefit the Chiefs, would lower the cap hit this year. I would trade a second-round pick for Hunter. I really would. I think he's that good. His cap hit for this year for any team that trades for him is only $5.5 million, and that number can even lower if you do give him said extension. So it's not like this would be a huge financial commitment. Like, yeah, you're having to pay him money on an extension, but for this year, it's not like you have to move all this money around to make Danielle Hunter work. You really don't. Like, especially if you extend Chris Jones too, because that's going to free up some cap. So, listen, I know a second-round pick's a premium and maybe having to throw another pick in there, but you're trying to win Super Bowls, man. That's Super Bowls, plural. You've won 2 already. A guy like Danielle Hunter can help you win at least 1 more. Would you trade a second-round pick for Danielle Hunter? I'm all in. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. You add him to this defense, I mean, you're kind of set on that side of the football. Let me know what you guys think. Y for yes or N for no. Subscribe to the channel. If Danielle Hunter becomes a Chief, I promise you we will be covering it here on this show. So hit that sub button, turn on notifications. Let's continue to grow and get to 43,000 subscribers ASAP. All right, guys, we're going to get you caught up on the latest rumors around Frank Clark, but the latest is that he is signing with another team, an arch rival. The Denver Broncos have come to terms with Clark. He gets a 1-year deal up to $7 million with $5.5 million guaranteed. So pretty similar to what Leonard Floyd just got with the Buffalo Bills. And got to be honest, I didn't see this one coming. I didn't know for sure if the Chiefs would bring him back, but I thought there was a decent chance. I definitely did not see him signing with Denver, an arch rival. So Orlando Brown signs with the rival Cincinnati. Now Frank Clark signs with the Denver Broncos. And look, he'll be missed, right? I mean, obviously, once you cut a player, it's very unlikely that said player is going to return, but the longer he had been a free agent, the more of a chance I thought there was. Chris Jones had been recruiting to bring him back. He was with the team at the White House celebrating their Super Bowl 57 victory earlier this week, but he now is a Denver Bronco. And I think when you look at this Chiefs defensive line, I still will clamor for the fact I think you could use one more edge. I like the Mbenahue addition. I think Karlaftis is going to be a nice player. Dan has been a good rotation guy, but, we don't know what Felix Anudike-Uzomah will be as a rookie. B.J. Thompson's kind of a project. Josh Kando's done nothing at this point in his career. I still think they need one more guy. Like, I would go out there and sign or maybe even trade for one more edge rusher if I were Kansas City. Now, some free agent edge rushers on the open market, there's still some notable ones, right? Like Yannick Ngakoue. He says he wants to sign with a contender. Well, the Chiefs are that. Jadeveon Clowney, good run stopper. Dwayne Smoot fits the physical profile of what Steve Spagnuolo likes in his defensive ends. Maybe he could be an option. Robert Quinn had a down year last year, but he could be intriguing. Melvin Ingram, who the Chiefs traded for at the deadline a couple of years ago, had 6 sacks with Miami last year. Maybe he is a possible addition as well. Now, if you hate the Broncos and if you're pissed off that they signed Frank Clark, type FDEN in the chat. F the donkeys. You guys know the drill. And we'll see you guys next time here on the Chiefs Report.